What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another spoiler recap here at Big Gold Belt Media. Today we're going to talk about The Boys Season 4, Episode 5, which is titled Beware of the Jabberwocker, my son, premiering on June 27th, only on Prime. Wow. Okay, so this is another episode. We're back again, everybody. I feel like there was so much that happened in this episode that we have to unload at this point. Episode basically just starts out, right? It picks right up with another Vought promo. They can't get enough Vought promos in these seasons. And we start out with V52 Expo, which is obviously a parody of, like, you know, all the Comic Cons. What is the one that actually has Expo in it? Isn't there one?
There's D23. There's the big one in Brazil. I can't remember the name right now.
It's like CXC or something like
that.
CSB.
Yeah.
And South by Southwest, same, yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. Just offhand though, guys, what did you think of this episode so far? I'm gonna start with Nadia.
This one was kind of like filler for me. Okay. I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. I felt like in terms of action, it was like lackluster compared to what we usually get with The Boys. Like, I know we'll get into the animals in a bit, but that was predominantly all the action we saw in this episode. But in terms of story, like everything with Hughie, like Mike was mentioning before in our chat, like it's super emotional on that end. And I think that's one thing that The Boys still has to get in, like the emotional moments with humans, because there are still humans and people still have families and stuff. So on that end, it was pretty hard to watch.
Yeah. How about you, Mike?
Yeah. I thought, again, the scenes for me, the best scenes in this episode, really, again, it's the dialogue, the scenes, the interaction with the different characters and the tensions that are bringing. I would agree with Nadia. Like, this is more slower, preparing us for the next, other half of this season, which, again, I think they've definitely established the groundwork. And I'm like, it's only going up from here. And I'm really just kind of seeing how everything's kind of woven more together, but still pushing us to certain characters and some returning characters as well. So to give us more exposition in a way. But
yeah, I definitely agree. And then of course, like in this episode, like I said, we got to see the V52 Expo, where they did an MCU timeline parody where they have like, how many films were on there? I think it was like
it was phase 7 through 19. That's like
we got a lot.
That's so crazy. I'm like, and how many years was it?
I don't know. It was 20. They just went to the original phase and then just went on, and
they pump out way faster than Marvel.
Right.
Yes. Right. Way fast. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
I'm like, man, those people are probably shooting a movie a day at this point, which just seems so wild. But yeah, this episode, honestly, after that kind of picks right back up where we're seeing what happens after, or what the results are with Hughie's dad, right? Because we did see that blue substance going to his veins, but all of us were wondering, like, where in the world did it come from? Like, did the mom have it in the rosary? I think that was yours, Nadia. And then
the rosemary thing,
yeah, the rosemary. And then mine was like, maybe she had it in her blood, or I don't know. And then Mike, yours was.
It was she picked it up from his pocket.
She picked it up in his pocket, and there you go. Mike actually got it because it was on the floor, is what she said. She was like, "Oh, yeah, I saw it on the floor. I thought you want to use it." And he's like, "Well, I was going to, but I really didn't want to." So the dad awakens. When the dad woke up, what was your guys' first thought about what was going to happen next? Nadia, I'm gonna start with you.
I didn't think it would happen this fast, the reaction. I thought that they were going to think like, all right, everything's great, take him home. But then we started to see like little pieces of like memory loss, like, but like slow. And I was like, all right, that doesn't necessarily mean anything crazy. Like, I thought he probably would have made it home, but no, it was just like, boom, he just did a whole freaking like reverse flash. Like I thought the irony was going to be that he was going to be somewhat like an A train, essentially. Like that would be kind of messed up to Hughie, like a I don't even know how to like word that, but that would like hurt Hughie. Yeah, karma, basically. Yeah. That would hurt Hughie so much. But it essentially was worse. He was like more of like a reverse flash.
Yeah. What about you, Mike?
Yeah, I was waiting for where the kid who's gonna pop off some bleeding, because like they actually did this on one of the boys, like the animated shorts they had in, I think, between season 2 and 3, where it's like they had different animators just do different stories within the boys universe and stuff. And there was one where this one person was actually selling testing on this like skin cream, but they're using compound V as a skin cream, and make them look all this, big buff person, whatever. But then at the end of the episode, when he put it on for real, whatever, he just exploded, and yeah, so that's what I thought. I was like, oh, there's gonna be something where like, oh, it's just a matter of time until he just explodes, or whatever, combusts and everything. And then I was like looking at the trailer, or at least I remember like some footage, whatever, and I saw him like, oh, then he's in the hallway and his blood all,
Right.
what's he doing? I was like, oh god, know what was going on. But yeah, but at least it did not end the way I thought it was going to go, and I'm actually happy the ending that we got to make it more personal. But I was worried, just like what was going to happen.
Yeah, I honestly thought his I always think the worst when I see these episodes, right? So immediately when it goes in his veins and dad wakes up and they're like questioning him, like, Dad, how you feel? He's like, oh, I feel really good. Like, are you sure I had a stroke? Like, are you positive? You felt so well. I thought like, oh, immediately he's gonna just explode or something terrible is just gonna happen. But I mean, he's too vital of a character, I think, for them to just have taken him out like that without, some type of farewell or goodbye, in this season though, or this episode. But yeah, and then we kind of trickle back, and this V52 Expo is still going on, where we're seeing that Firecracker is actually going to get her own series. I think it was like Firecracker, the Lord's Soldier,
the Lord's Soldier. It's giving Angel Studios.
It's like our new studio, the Angel Studios. I'm like, oh my gosh. Yeah. So now they'll probably have a show like Seventh Heaven, or there's going to be several different shows, I'm pretty sure, that are going to be in the lineup that we didn't get to see on there. But at this point, Firecracker is still out in the public, still throwing dirt on Starlight's name. Starlight has been dirt thrown on her for a good 3 episodes so far. And at this point, they're trying to they're saying it, but not saying it at the same time. They're kind of trying to put the pressure on that Starlight was the one that had something to do with Ezekiel's murder. And they had like a little like Hallmark moment where they were like a moment of silence for Ezekiel. And what song was playing? It was so cheesy though. It was like,
remember you.
Yeah,
Vine was right. Yeah, that they play that song a lot through a lot of like Vine videos back in the day and stuff, just for comedy,
Yeah, I thought that was crazy though. But then we kind of get to pan back around, and we get to see that everybody's really dealing with different things right now, not only with just work, but also their personal life as well. I didn't think we were going to get much of this story, but we got to see into Mother's Milk's story, or Mother's story, because basically his daughter is just getting into fights at school right now. I mean, she had valid reason to deck that kid, though. I'll be honest with you, because I guess he said that the little boy that she hit, said that Homelander's a hero, and she said no, he's not. And I think he like cussed her out. I would have probably punched that kid too. I'd be honest with you. I mean, that was the the stone thrown at the glass house, I think, for her. So the ex-wife is kind of, putting this on, Milk right now, basically saying that, you do this for a job, and now this influence is kind of panning out to your daughter now. Do you guys think that we'll see a little bit more of this story going forward in this season, because they just touched on it a little bit? Mike, what do you think?
From what so again, how this show deviated from the graphic novel is that, a lot of things can be left for term interpretation where they're going to go, but Mother's Milk and his relationship with his daughter is very pivotal to the conclusion of the boy's story and everything. And I think we haven't gotten that much of it, in terms of, because now we know this is the next one going to be the last season. So I'm like glad they're building up to, let their relationship. Now where it's going to go in terms of how it conclude, I don't know, but I'm glad that we're at least seeing more of his daughter. And as the actors are getting older, such as like Ryan and everything, we get to get more dialogue with them one-on-one and everything. So but I do think that her reaction with the mom, it's more on from the macro perspective, how just Vought and the experience of the boys and everything just influence culture instead of really the actions of Mother's Milk, because he really didn't do it, correlate to that, in terms of the reaction to boy. But I understand she's had, he was the closest target, so she took out aggression on him and everything. But I do believe they're gonna try to see more of his daughter with the relationship with mother's milk and everything.
Yeah, for sure. What about you, Nadia?
How long was the mom dating the white guy?
It was like a whole season, wasn't it? It was like
a whole season.
Like season
he wasn't
3?
with her since she was like a little baby, right?
No,
like,
I don't.
Yeah,
No,
so I kind of feel like this is like a little extra, if I'm being honest. Like
That's
she's
fair.
like,
that's fair.
Oh, like our daughter's like having all this trouble. Like this dude wasn't in her. Like he wasn't her stepdad. He wasn't there. Like from like as a child, really. So I'm like, essentially, I feel like it's a little too much pressure on MM. And then it's also like this guy was a Homelander like fanatic, and it's like so I wouldn't put all the blame. Yes, MM like was barely there for his family, and he's doing all this crazy superhero shit. So yes, I understand that, but at the same time, it's like you brought this man into your home. He was a cult like person, whatever. So I'm kind of like, you take some blame too.
Yeah, I think that's a vital point as well. I do feel like that, this story probably will continue, and hopefully this is the one person in the group of the boys that actually gets a happy ending. I'm hoping, you know what I'm saying, with his daughter, because as we saw in the story or towards the end of this episode, getting back to his daughter really means everything to him. He's willing to, deviate from plan A and figure out if we can get something later on just to, salvage that relationship at the end of the day. But then we also get the return of Jeffrey Dean Morgan, who we didn't see last episode, I don't believe, right? I think he was in, I think 2. He wasn't in episode 3. He wasn't in episode 4, but then he kind of popped back up in this episode as well as Joe Kessler. And he basically is trying to do a team up with Butcher. He knows how rugged and how brutal Butcher is. And he basically is saying that, Butcher, you've gone soft, man. Like you really care about these people that you're around a lot more than anyone else that you had on your team before. So why don't we just team up? We're 2 ruthless guys and we can just get the job done. Do you think there's a why does Joe Kessler care so much that he wants to team up with Butcher? Do you guys, that's what I was thinking watching it, because I was like, what is this to you? Nadia, what do you think?
Jeffrey Dean Morgan is like major. I feel like bringing him in, there has to be more significance to his character. Like he's gonna play a major part in this at some point.
Right.
So I'm wondering if we're gonna find out a little bit more about their past, because they clearly like knew each other for a long time, have worked together before. So I'm wondering, I don't know, he could be like using Butcher to get access to whatever this I don't know if it's a cure, but this extra extra virus that he's trying to get. Or B, like he could just be someone that he actually like trusts and wants to work with. But essentially he has to have like a major point bringing in Jeffrey Dean Morgan. Like I don't know, maybe he's gonna take some shit, maybe he is a soup, I don't know, but something has to happen.
Yeah. What about you, Mike?
Yeah, so I think that he gonna basically be a pivotal role into the final season, because the whole point of him is endgame, of being like the last resort in terms of ending this conflict. And I think that it's him, he's basically put as a placeholder, as a reminder of who Butcher used to be, but obviously the person he is now has evolved and changed. But that person, he's just there to bring that other side of him. It's not trying to make friends, it's just get the job done and everything by any means necessary. Even as breaking moral code, wherever that might be. So he's just using that as an anchor for Butcher to be in terms of doing Butcher things. And then at the same time, as he's evolving and changing, now it'll be interesting to see that even though he has a pure disdain for soups, is that how they're going to find out if Butcher also is now a soup and everything, how that's going to affect that relationship. But I think he's just there just for bringing that Butcher side out of himself, even though he's now evolved. Yes, become soft because now he's in position of Ryan, and also growing more relationship with the team. And much as they get on each other's nerves and everything, they're still a family. I
agree. And in this episode, I think they start to regret that they brought Butcher back onto the team, but eventually, they always come back together at the end of the day. And speaking of coming back together, they decided to hatch a plan to actually obtain I guess the soup virus, right, is what we're calling it. I don't think there was like a nickname for it. I think it was just that. And we get to see an appearance, or I'm pretty sure we're going to see him through the rest of the season. We get to see Giancarlo Esposito back as Stan Edgar, the former CEO, I believe, right, of Vought. Yeah. Man, the dude can act his ass off, man. So, because like watching him come into this scene, I'm like, man, he is preppy, man. Like he don't give a damn. And there was like one part when they were like getting him out of the jail as far as the negotiation, and he saw their van, which is probably a piece of shit. And he was like, wow, this is charming. Do you guys have a towel I can lay down?
He's like, I can't dirty my suit.
I was like, oh man. And even Butcher was like, man, I gotta tell you, man, that dude sure can't wear a suit, even though he's a prick. I was like, oh man. So essentially what their plan is now is that they're going to go find a hideout, which they really didn't say the location. I know Edgar basically said it was west. We're going west, right? I'm not sure what the directions were in between the driver and him or whoever was driving, but they end up getting there, which is, I guess, the safe house or like one of the hideout locations for Congresswoman Neuman.
Yeah.
Or Senator Neuman. So they get to her house and they basically are looking for the cure. They need to get the cure, right? And they find it. And there's a weird sentimental moment where you see a Temp V hooked up to like a rabbit. And Butcher, who thought this would have been the person to do it, to be honest with you. His sentimental side comes out and he decides to release the bunny. All right, just think about this now, guys. What do you think this, not only just the person of Butcher, but what is his character going to evolve into going in towards the end of this season, basically? I'll start with you, Nadia.
I think he's going back to his old ways if we're going to talk about the end of the episode. I guess maybe I'll wait till we get to that, but I think he's going back to Butcher. He's like, I'm dying. I'm going all out.
Makes sense. What about you, Mike?
Wait, who you said again?
Oh, Butcher. What do you think about he was really sentimental when he saw this rabbit. He decided to release the rabbit, and then Joe Kessler's even been saying that he's been trickling into the softer side of himself. Do you think he's gonna stay down that path, or do you think he's gonna go all out or hard, like Nadia said, towards the end of the season?
I think. Now, again, not even though I know with the boys how it's going to end with the graphic novel, it's just that I can't really answer that question. But I will say with his with what we saw with the rabbit and everything, it does change the how ending's gonna go, because with him it was more clear cut. All soups have to die. All of them, right? And now what happens when he comes at himself? How did that change? And now the part where I don't think he's going to die, because the fact is that he not only has a Temp V, because the Temp V is what gets you that, and then he just saw that the worm thing, whatever, coming out of the rabbit, like a tentacle type of thing. But because he took the compound V along with that, I don't think that he's going to die, because that just going to mean he's going to have a more manageable power of these tentacles and something of that. That's what I think it's gonna be, like some type of I'm trying to think of it's not like a Groot, it's like a
it's like it's like very much like a
what's the villain from Stranger Things for the final
Vecna?
Vecna.
Vecna. The like tentacle things.
Yes, out of them and stuff. Yeah, so that's what I think.
No, that makes sense though. That makes sense, because we did get to see the part, because they do catch up to this rabbit, and he sees the rabbit breathing very, very heavily, and then it just subsides in breathing, and these like Vecna, that's what we're gonna call it now, tentacles pop out, and it's like going crazy, and he's like, and it really, I think it really kind of got to Butcher, because he's like, man, this is really what's inside of me, and I know it's in there. And it pissed him off, and he just stomped out the rabbit, bro. Like the rabbit just got to work, which I thought really sucked. But this is where we are now in the boys, so I think it's crazy. But also saying so, or also in this same little part that's going on when they are trying to walk through the compound or the hideout house, they also bump into Neuman because they realize that somebody was there before them, right? And they actually see that Senator Neuman and her crew is there. And there's so many different attacks because all these different animals have been trialed and tested on this whole entire time. And they didn't work out. None of them. So we got to see chickens popping through people. We got to see sheep, vampire sheep,
a bull,
and the bull, the random bull knocks down, the fence, thinking he's about to get a charge, and here comes vampire sheep devouring everything at this point. If there was one animal that you guys wanted to see in this episode that didn't go crazy, what would it be? Mike, I'm gonna start with you.
Either a bear or a cow. Like I thought, I was thinking that in the woods, I was thinking of a bear, but then I think I like a cow, pigs. Pork is bad for you. Let's actually say it.
I would have liked to see a cow or horse. I think a horse would have been cool, trying to run from, and definitely a bear.
Oh yeah,
I would have wanted to see a bear.
Yeah, and initially when I saw those sheep flying through the sky and like attacking the bull, I thought it was like little wolves or foxes, and I was like, oh, right, I like that's crazy. Like, but then they were sheep, and I'm like, what's going on? Wait a minute, I know a lot about animals, but they don't do that. I would have loved to see maybe like a rat or mouse, just go crazy. Probably, do the Ant-Man on Thanos, go up and blow up.
What chickens?
Yeah, that would have been really bad. I mean, that would make sense though for the boys episode for sure. But during this little time when we're seeing them kind of trying to survive Pet Cemetery Death Farm right now, we see another person turning Pet Cemetery on us right now, and of course it's Hughie's dad. That's what I was watching this and I was like, bro's going full Pet Cemetery right now because one, he don't remember anybody. He's vibrating through people and he can't control his power. And right now he thinks Hughie is 11 years old. Now, knowing that how this episode ended, right? And how we had to say a farewell to Hughie Sr. Did you guys think it was going to end in this way, Nadia?
No, I thought it was kind of sad. Like there were a lot of moments. We didn't just talk about though, that they were all together essentially. So I think this was kind of like a special moment for Hughie, like to have both parents there, and like he didn't really experience that since like he was like 6 years old. Yeah. So they're kind of like having like a happy moment. His mom gave him her engagement ring and she was like, I wasn't there before, but like give this to Annie. And after that, I think that's when the mom stepped out and it was revealed about the memory loss because the dad's like, oh, where'd she go? But Hughie asked him about the power of attorney thing, and his dad basically tells him that like Hughie gets attached to everything. So I think that was kind of like tying into like the end of the episode, like Hughie had to be the one to put his dad down. The final so that was kind of like super sad. I think it kind of tied things together for Hughie, and it was a pretty sad moment. Yeah. And then I wonder too, because like you read the comics, Mike, how like Simon Pegg is essentially Hughie in the comics. Like it was drawn as Simon Pegg. So I was like, oh, I'm like sad they didn't do like a little, I mean, he's alive in real life. I'm not saying anything like that, but like a little honorary thing. Because this might be the last time that we see him. But yeah, I thought it was super sad for Hughie to have to be the one to put him down.
Yeah. Yeah. What about you, Mike? What did you think about it?
Yeah, listen, when we were watching, I was just like bawling, like the whole thing, because it's sad, but it's also like a state that we're kind of in, as you get older, that everybody fortunately, like it was giving not only a passing of or a family member being sick and stuff like that, but also like Alzheimer's, like forgetting, just simply that, putting your you basically, because at first I was tearing, like getting choked up in the previous episode of him of Lily telling like, hey, you gotta let your dad die, and stuff, right? Yeah. That stuff was like, oh man. But then we actually get, one more episode. I get that just so we can say, your final goodbyes and all that, which for some people they don't get. And I think with this is like on top of that, to tell that story about with Hughie about when he were a kid, Like, why did you give mom, the right, right over, and everything? And he's like, well, because listen, you always been the good kid and not, always wanting to let things, live and go on and everything. But like when it comes to making the hard calls, whatever, that, that's not you. But then to become that at the end of the episode, like, to do do the very thing that his dad told him, oh yeah, you weren't able to take out the cat or whatever, when we were a kid and everything.
Right.
But now you're able to do that, but it's your own father. It's like, that's the main part where it's like choke him. And then him knowing where he was is also like, I know I'm gonna say I'm proud of him, but it's like I'm glad to see the character just have grown from where we first saw him in the first season to being, yes, obviously things are crazy, things happen, but because of the crazy situations he has went through in the last several seasons, that he's actually when times where he's actually step up, even when the mom Lily said, how can you be calm right now? Like that's like take super like the boys history and all that stuff, a parent stressing out and things are going on, and then yet you have that one child or one just being calm in the situation and everything, even when the dad's like saying, oh, I don't know what's going on, what's happening, he's like, everything's okay, I'm here and stuff. And that's like that to me just broke it just did something to me, so I think everybody can relate to of this in some way. And I think again, this is just, I thought it was done very well, and I thought definitely the performance of Simon Pegg conveying that in that way of disarray of in that situation and everything like that. I think that, the whole Hughie and the mom too, they all did a good job in that.
I definitely think so too. It was I think it was an amazing moment, because I think all of us at some point of our life have dealt with someone that either dealt with memory loss or either some form of Alzheimer's or dementia, and to see that turnaround with Hughie, to be able to step up in a time of need, like you said, when his mom is not really in her right mind, because she's never been in a situation like this. I thought it was definitely really amazing for the character development, like you said as well. But yeah, I mean, it was definitely a sad moment, but it felt like it was the let go part that Hughie needed to be able to grow into the person that he needs to be, to finish this season out, which I thought was great. And hopefully to be a great husband or dad, later on, for himself later on in the future, hopefully with Annie. And speaking of Annie, she's having like a Spider-Man existential crisis right now where her powers don't work.
Spider-Man 2.
It's like when Spider-Man was like, find us some shade. And he goes, he's over here in the jazz club, and he just wants to be bad Spider-Man at this point. But I think it's crazy. So, I mean, for her, she's trying to use her powers to save the day, and she can't. Do you think she's going to be, well, I think we all know she's eventually going to get over this, right? But how many episodes do you guys think it's going to take before she finally figures out, who she really is, to be able to bridge the gap between her powers and her, I guess, human self as Annie? I'm gonna go with you, Nadia, first.
I feel like soon, because they've kind of just been shitting on her the last probably 4 episodes. So I feel like she's got to have some kind of arc coming up, especially after this episode. Her and Frenchie were kind of having shared moments of an existential crisis of kind of morbid. And I don't know, I'm guessing because even you saw her, she punched Victoria. So I think at this point Annie's like, I already lost my reputation, it doesn't matter. I think she's just gonna, not to say go downhill, but just change, putting up a facade, if that makes sense. This pageant image she's had her whole life, I think she's just gonna be fuck it at this point. And now her powers are probably gonna come back.
Yeah, that makes sense. What about you, Mike?
I think this was a breaking point or a moment of her, she lost in terms of her drive of having that perfect image, and now she finally let go. But it's a side of her where it's she never really tapped into before, right? Where she's actually just let go, loose, and pissed off, because she's always been the one, the obedient type, person and everything. But I think this also can probably lead to her becoming, going Super Saiyan eventually. Because before she has a new sense of who she is as Annie, as and not just Starlight, the persona of that. Because again, I think she put her identity on Starlight and being this person instead of like, she is flawed. She had this aggression. I think Neuman even said it, like, you having these alter egos, and I'm still the Nadia girl, and stuff. And then, but yet I have to be Neuman for the cameras and stuff. So yeah,
Right.
she, even though she poked that bear, it still needs to be addressed for Annie to like come to her own, which I think that's another point we can get into like probably later on this season. But I do believe, like, in terms of this needed to happen, where for
Right.
whether how difficult, we all have to get to a point where we're all tested or parts of ourselves are kind of peeled off so we can get to the root of who we are and become the next or evolve person or who we're meant to be, instead of trying to get all philosophical for y'all. But yeah, I think that's what that we're kind of heading to that direction with her.
Yeah. That was definitely, I think that was definitely a big topic also in this episode, like you said, because even Homelander, from the past episode, he peeled back the layers of, insecurity and wanting to be accepted. I mean, not in the most, humanic way, but he really peeled back the layers. Like, he killed them. So they're not, he doesn't have to focus on those people anymore. But it's definitely a huge topic for Annie right now, because she's still dealing with this, because she's not like Homelander. She wants to be accepted. She wants to be liked. She wants people to care about her, and of course not trash her in the news, at this point, because at one point she was the good guy. And I think that's the story of all the characters in this show, is that nobody really sees themselves as a bad guy. I don't think anyone in here really sees what they do as being wrong. They just have a different viewpoint, opposed to others at the same time. But like to your point, I do think we might see a Super Saiyan version of Starlight coming up, maybe a different suit. Maybe she might not wear a suit. But it reminded me of X-Men 97, Mandolin Pryor, coming through. I was like, yo, she about to take that ruby off her head from Sinister and just go crazy. So
Right.
I'm excited. Hopefully, she'll just be like the Human Torch and just be glowing all the time. I think that would be cool. So we'll see. We'll see what happens though. And speaking of new cool things that Vought is bringing to TV, man, they are bringing an all-black lineup. Let's go. How are you guys feeling about this?
Black at it. Black at it.
Black at it.
We're here for diversity. Crazy. Go woke, go yoke.
Yeah, bro. Yep. I was like, what is happening right now? When you guys saw that, what was your first thought, Mike, when you saw it though?
It was stupid. But okay, I think it's part of, and this is the part where people don't understand diversity. We make a whole other video about this, but the two sides of the diversity woke culture. What do you talk about? That there's such thing as the anti, people against diversity or people of color and representation, whatever. But yet there's also another word which people don't add to it, is capitalism. Yeah, is that I think people have missed on that. Like, yeah, we're going to target this audience because this is where money's at. Right. Yeah. So that there's two sides to it. But yeah, and I like that how they just dressed them both like, well, people say go woke, go broke. Glad you acknowledged it, but also know the idiocy of like, hey, on the one hand, Hollywood studios, you train the audience to to basically think that diversity equal mediocre content, but at the same time there are people when saying representation does not matter, they were saying, well, here's all these other things of content that there is an audience for, and the studios and companies know that because they want your dollar. That's the thing. That's the
right.
And again, and the point in that is like, yes, it was a joke, but it's like, come on, like the black at it and so if a diverse audience, they can see this bottle, see this beer, but if a black person watch it, they'll see some peach cognac.
Yeah, I was like, oh my god.
I just like that. I just lost it. I was just
perfect. Yeah.
That's just like, why gotta be peach cognac? I mean, that's the only cognac you can get for black people. Like
peach cognac? I was like, damn, we couldn't
like,
get
what is it for Latinos? For Latinas, huh? I don't know. What is it? I don't like. I mean, Asians, what they gonna get? They get some sake from Shogun. All right, well, that's what they're gonna say.
That's probably exactly what it was. It's like, man, this is this is tough. What did you think about it, Nadia, when you saw it on there?
Yeah, I think it tapped into like all the stereotypes, and Mike just touched upon it, like capitalism. We definitely see this all the time. I forgot the term. I feel ignorant right now, but I literally just learned a term from my friend's job because they were doing an event for Pride. So there's an actual term, I can't remember, pink lining, something like that, where companies purposely try to market towards like these people, but just as Mike said, it's not like authentic. It's like, hey, we support gay people. Let's make our bank rainbow today. So they'll make all their social media like rainbow. And just like, even with Juneteenth, the boys literally tapped into it with the posters and the social media. So they were like right on it because like that happens all the time. And they're just target marketing with stereotypes. And it sucks because that kind of is like feeding into the whole like woke bullshit instead of giving us like proper storytelling. You're fueling like these anti-woke, like angry white men.
Right. And I liked how they addressed, like, because if you watch the reaction right now, some people are calling the season whatever different, and obviously because whether Frenchie is in a relationship or whatever, they're tacking on with Trump and whatever and all that stuff. But in the same time, this episode, we're hitting it back on Disney and back on Marvel, and we love taking Disney down. So yeah, it's I'm saying everybody is off limits on the show. And it's like it's like the comedian, like, hey, we can make jokes about everybody until it's the one per heckler who want to make combat the comedian and they want to walk out and stuff, acting like they matter. And stuff. They don't care about either side. They care about profit. That's the point. And that's why I love that phase 7 to 19 and reshoots. Come on.
Yeah, right. I think one of the movies that A-Train was actually a part of, he said that, we just finished doing like our 13th reshoot, and now this is going to be the most profitable or this is going to be the most expensive movie that we've shot so far. And I think it's got to be good is what you pointed out. I was like, yeah, okay.
No, his TV show. I don't think it was the movie.
Oh, was it? Oh, TV show. Okay,
yeah, I think the movie was Training with Will Ferrell, and then his TV show was Double Standard, and he said that's going to be.
Yeah.
The 7 out. Yeah.
Yeah, that is wild. Speaking of A-Train, so now we see that A-Train is sweating bullets, no pun intended. Right now he is basically it's a little bit of pressure being put on him by Sister Sage, right? She is on his ass. Like, she knows that he might have released some information, or she's kind of trickling it down to him. I don't think she really knows per se, but she knows somebody has leaked out this information, or the videotape, I believe, of the alley where the bodies were moved from the martyrs of the Homelander campaign. And now she's trying to expose him. And basically she has no choice he has no choice but to team up with Ashley, right? Ashley's leaked out some information too. She's obviously on the hot seat as well. So right now both of them are trying to figure out who are we going to pin this on. And of course, the person that has my name is the guy that gets one.
Cameron,
right? Jesus. Okay. So Cameron Coleman, who is the Vought news reporter, has he used to be in a relationship with Ashley. And really not on the good side of her right now because he broke up with her randomly. Found somebody new. He's doing new things now. Because he was like her BDSM's sex slave or something. So like he was doing all sorts of wild things with her. And now, since he's not in power anymore, he doesn't want to be with her. And then, of course, there is some trouble between the Deep and Cameron Coleman as well, because he put out that expose about, I believe, the Deep, or, him not, or basically him getting booted from the 7 at that time, which was like a couple seasons ago. So now they're all ready to just whoop up on Cameron Coleman right now. He's going to not really. Well, we already know he's not going to last long, right?
Yeah, he saw it in
or whatever, right? Yeah, he's toast. And towards the end of this episode, we get to see 2 characters that appear from Gen V, right? We get to see, I believe, Sam, who was Luke's
brother.
Yeah, so we got to see a couple characters actually make a cameo in this episode when Cameron Coleman is taking his L towards the end, and it is the likes of Sam as well as Kate. As we knew, we kind of knew towards the final episode of the first season of Gen V that, Kate and Sam were going to be the newest recruits, because obviously they were on the side of Homelander when he came to save the massacre from all the other characters in there, which I thought was crazy. When you guys saw them in this episode appearing, did you think it was going to be a little bit more added to it, or did you think this is just like, this is basically like a little bit of test screen work for them? Pick up where I started talking about what's it called.
Gen V?
Yeah. Good. Yeah, so we got to see actually when Cameron Coleman was getting ready to take his final or say his final goodbyes at the end of this episode. We see that two main characters that we got to see basically make an appearance here at the end of the episode, and it was Kate and Sam from Gen V. I was a little shocked and surprised that we were getting them at the end of this episode. I thought maybe a little bit later on when they fully get sworn in. As we know, at the end of season 1 of Gen V, they were on the side of Homelander, so why not, right? They're the new recruits at this point. Did you guys have were you surprised when you saw that they were going to be in this episode? We'll start with you, Nadia.
I didn't expect this to be their introduction into the series. Right. We've been getting like little Easter eggs here and there, like on Tech Night on TV. But Sam and I just forgot her name. Kate. Sam and Kate were making a movie or TV series together, which is basically like some kind of Freaky Friday, like Marvel thing that they were talking about. So I didn't expect that, but I'm guessing like they're probably gonna be in it a little more because, like you mentioned, they teamed with Homelander. So essentially, they're trying to get cozy with the Seven. Now they're like starting to be like in the celebrity world. So I'm wondering if we'll see a little more of them later on, like what their whole arc is going to be with more of like the Gen V side.
Yeah. What about you, Mike?
Yeah, I knew they were going to be here. I didn't know they were going to come in this point of time, but again, talking about their streaming service and stuff, and it kind of make like, or their show is going to be a like type of Freaky Friday called Flipped, where like, yeah, he plays me and I'm in his body and he's in my body and all that stuff. I was like, yeah, okay, and stuff. But yeah, I thought I'm glad that the position. I just like that scene where they were in, off the end with the camera and everything, because with Homelander, and we'll get to Homelander with Ryan in a second, but with that is that putting the God complex, to them, and now collectively bringing people, together. That's what I wanted to see, and see like the setting the stage up, because a lot of people don't know what's going to happen, right? And I know how the graphic novel is going to end, but it's just like, okay, how are we going to see that, and who's going to be involved? The fact you have Tech Night, in there. It's like, okay, but you already have a mastermind, the Sister State, them together. And then what was that little book you were reading? Like, wait, for real? It's like, yeah. And she said, shh. Like, yeah, so they have a secret, like something, they have a plan what's going on. But Tech Knight, yeah, he's like the Sister Stage on Gen V, right? With other things and stuff like that. But I think he has a tumor too, or something like that, and as well. But yeah, the both of those together, I was like, okay, interesting.
That would actually, that would actually work, because Tech Knight got that whole little weird complex where you got to hit everything. So maybe just give it a little eye jab, and then they can just go to town. That's it. They're gonna have a amazing 48 hours. So I completely forgot about that though. But that is definitely a weird little quirk that he has. Like, geez. But yeah, I just thought it was kind of wild. And there's one character. Oh, well, you know what? Let's talk about the Ryan complex, right? Or the Ryan's introduction to this episode, because we got to see Ryan in, I guess, basically not a Q&A, but like a prepping session, right? With Adam, who is basically like I guess you could say he's the marketing director, or he does basically some type of promotion for Vought, right? And gets all the soups ready and prepped for all these different things that they're going to end up doing as far as promotionals. And now Homelander is in the mode where he's like, you don't have to say yes, right? Like you said, the God complex. Everything you want to do, just let them know you want to do it. Or if you don't have to do it. And Ryan really takes back to this because this is his first time where his biological dad, I guess you can say, is really being I guess like a shield for him, because Ryan is still a kid. So to adults, he's still very like, oh man, I don't want to say that, like I don't like conflict. I don't like being standoffish. I'm kind of still scared, to voice my opinion. And his dad is really trying to push to him that, you are a higher being. Just because they tell you to do something doesn't mean you have to do it. My whole entire life, I've been trying to depend on people, and, that's just been my whole entire complex where I've struggled. But now I see that you don't have to do that as well. Do you think this is going to trickle into Ryan maybe turning or going dark? What do you think, Nadia?
So yeah, Homelander basically said he was manipulated all his life. He tells Ryan that he's doing the same thing to him. There's no more rules. But for me, I feel like this is still a form of manipulation. Like he's trying a new tactic because before he was being like mean to his son and like essentially being like humans are bugs. But now I feel like he's like you mentioned before about like peeling back layers. I feel like he's trying a different approach and trying to be a father. But essentially, I feel like it's still manipulative. And like we essentially see that with Ryan and the Adams assistant. Do you think that Ryan has a controlling power? Because she was slapping
she was hitting pretty
fire
hard,
out of this guy. Like not just slaps, but I'm talking like you got knocked the fuck out, like slaps. Like it kept going and going, and it sounded like she beat his face in. So I was like, what's happening here? Like, does Ryan have control over that, or was she scared of Homelander? But I didn't get that, so I was a little confused with how much power she was hitting this guy with.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, maybe because I kept thinking about like the last episode when Colin was hitting Frenchie, and I was like, man, maybe they just make like people getting hit really, really hard, I was like, Colin.
But I'm like, did he rape you? Like, girl.
Yeah, she was he did something really, really inappropriate to her. So I don't know. But it is a good point though. Maybe possibly he does have some type of power that he doesn't know he hasn't tapped into though. What do you think, Mike?
I think this is in terms of that with her interaction with that assistant him. I think it's more when people who are powerless receive power, and I think in terms of like who they become with that, I understand there were victims, but honestly, like what happens when we give that person, the gun back, or in terms of that power, how they're going to react and respond and stuff like that, right? But with this is that now the way that I can keep going to the ending, because again, this is a setup season, is that where is the end goal for Ryan? Okay, he's an original character and everything, but the way of his mere existence is then asking me questions of how this is going to end. And I'm thinking that it'd be a situation of like, I'm thinking if you guys remember the Batman animated or Batman Beyond actually Turn of Joker, right? What Joker did to Tim Drake Robin, right? Yeah. And think of a complex of like, okay, well, it doesn't matter, you get Joker's gone. Guess what he created? Now you have a new problem. So I think it's more exactly what Jeffrey Dean Morgan's character talking about. Okay, either he's gonna team up with us or we have to learn how to take him out. But I think it's gonna be a situation where he's gonna get into age now, he's maturing, but he's still at an age where I still don't see you going up against Homelander, but you might can get a couple punches in, but I still need to see how to get a point where these two can go head to head with each other. Because then it's like, all right, he's now the point is when he's saying I want to help people. Now again, when you view that tyrants believe they're helping people, that's right? True. So it's like if he's just viewing his villainy in a way where, I'm just trying to help the world. The most terrifying villains are the ones who think they're the good guys. Homelander knows right. Homelander knows he's a bad guy. He knows that, right? But not Ryan. Ryan knows that, he wants to be the good guy, and one of his actions, either so naive as he might be, thinking that, oh, well, I'm just helping people. And then if that gets to a point where gets that so corrupted, then it's off, to wherever he can go with that. I like now when me and my wife were watching this, she was like, oh no, he's done. yeah, he's done.
Yeah.
It's like, it's Ron like, no, he's not. I think they're just learning, like parents like, no, he's done. Like, I'm like, if you get him at a young age and then that's when they can prosper and stuff. But I think it's part when he had enough. Like, I can do whatever I want. Yeah, because I still don't want to forget that smile he had at the end of season 3. Like, let's not forget that he smiled after that, laser somebody, right?
Yeah.
That's setting the stage for something, at least to me as a viewer. So, yeah.
Yeah, he definitely did look proud when his dad lays the guy. He was like, "That's my dad." Like, oh man, no, man, that's not. And I hate to say Butcher's your dad, but like that, I'm not sure that makes it. I mean, it makes it a little better. I'm not sure. But in doing so, while all this is going on, we got 2 different things still going on. As this little part of the story actually closes, so we still have basically the boys are locked in with Stan Edgar, also with Victoria, as well as now we know that Victoria has, I guess, a boyfriend, or I don't want to call him a baby daddy. I know that's what I see. I hate that word, but I was like, he a BD. Damn, there we go.
I was gonna say, sorry, real quick. Stanley found out 2 things. He found out that Victoria had a kid with this guy,
with Samir.
Yeah. And he also found out that she was pumping Zoe. He didn't know that until Homelander told him.
Yeah, and that's the reason why he wanted to get out of jail in the first place, because he was like, all right, maybe I can take Zoe from Victoria, because obviously she's unhinged and she's out of control by pumping V into her own daughter. So for him to get custody was like his main goal. But it feels like he would have turned Zoe maybe into another monster like he did Victoria as well. Seemed like, the times were basically just gonna, recycle themselves all over again. But in doing so, we get to see them kind of stationary in the barn. They do find Samir, who is the scientist that they've been looking for this whole entire time. Come to find out who is actually Victoria Newman's love interest / baby daddy, / off and on partner. I don't know what the scenario is, honestly. So they're in the barn and they realize that they have 1 vial left of the virus, right? And in doing so, these vampire sheep are ready to attack them and kill them at any moment. And Samir has the vial, and they all have to make a decision to figure out, okay, do we use the vial on this guy's body and throw it out there so the sheep can eat it and then eventually die? And of course, Butcher's first thought is like, hey man, we could just chuck it and run, right? A lot of us are going to make it. Kind of fine. I mean, of course, Stan Edgar's not going to make it. Dude probably has a bad leg. Let's be honest here. The other guy, he's a scientist. What's his cardio like? Let's be honest. I don't think he's probably going to be able to, kick up a couple miles an hour. But then, everybody gets kind of put into check by MM, right? MM sets everybody straight for the first time in quite some time, and solidifies himself, I would say, as the leader of the group for the really first time, even in front of Butcher. Were you guys surprised that, they didn't decide to take off with the V and sacrifice, the dead body already? Or how did you think the scene was going to end? I'm gonna go with you, Nadia.
So first, this vial that they had, was this the temp V thing?
It was the virus, the V virus.
This wasn't the cure from Godokin. This was another form of
no. So the one from
there was never a cure for
it was just a virus to kill.
It was a virus that was the virus that they tested on with those subjects in the woods.
They were like puking.
Yeah,
right?
That's the vial that they have here.
Right.
Yes,
right.
So it's supposed to kill the soups, essentially.
Right. Yeah, essentially.
Yes.
But what's happening is it's making these animals become these creatures.
So the animals already had temp V, or they already had like compound V in them because they were in the facility, and they end up escaping. And in doing so, all the other viruses or the vials of the virus get destroyed, and the only one they got saved by Samir was just the one that he had left.
So it's not what they were testing on the animals; it's what they should have used on the animals
to take the animals out in the first place.
Okay, I was getting confused.
No, it's a lot. It's a lot.
So I feel like so much happened in like that little segment.
Yeah, right.
I was gonna say, what was the question again? There was so much with that.
Oh, were you surprised that they decided to use the vial to
Use
like
it.
save everyone, or you know, Butcher didn't
Um,
take the overhand and just take off with it?
I'm wondering. I don't know. I guess that is a good point because, like, part of me is like, Butcher would have taken it,
Right.
but then back to the whole Victoria revealed that they were making a deal, and he was like,
Yeah.
I didn't go through with it, and he's trying to prove himself because, like, Starlight's like, no, we shouldn't have trusted you, and he
Yeah.
said like multiple times, I didn't go through with it. So I'm wondering if it was like a quick reaction or if it was like, I need to start thinking about my team, because selfish Butcher would have just like dipped. But I think also him, I guess we could just say it at this point, taking Samir's leg and like his whole plan with Samir.
Yo.
Basically, he was like,
Crazy.
okay, I have plan B. So y'all can
Mhm.
keep that vial. I already have my plan. And that was more diabolical. So I'm like, oh.
Oh, that was way more diabolical. When did go ahead, Mike? I'm gonna let you go first before we talk more about it. But yeah.
No, I was because again, we're getting to next season and how we're going to end this, and it's like with that, once the military gets attached to this, that's when the president or the congressman that's trying to running with Neuman, that once he find out about this and actually no way to weaponize it, that's when it's end game now, which is why when they were trying to at the end, trying to see how they can mass produce this and stuff like that. But on both sides, what's she gonna do with it? She has the leg, he has the formula to know what to do, to make this to make the weaponize this and everything. So I don't know where the end game of that. But with the animals, like I was now the fact that where you seeing all the animals come out of nowhere, because in this area, the fact that the compound V went into the water stream, I'm like, oh, they're drinking this, the barn from outside, like just wild animals. So that's when I saw that boar, like that the big cow
bison,
or bison with it, but whatever. He probably just had drinking water. I don't think he was injected.
That's it.
That's it. So so at this point, it's like it left out of it, and then I was kind of like with the rabbit with a temp V, and he let him go, and I was like, dude, what are you doing? And it was like, because I remember from season 3 that gerbil. We're not the first time we see animals with freaking compound V, whatever. So that's why I'm like, what's going on? I think it was like season 1. I think it was like season. Yeah, I think it was season 1 or so. But the freaking animal was just jumping back and forth and everything. I'm like, you just take him out and just let him just go, and just to see what. Oh, just let me see how this temp V gonna go. And then Kimiko, she smiled. Like, oh, he has a heart,
Yeah, I know. I thought that was funny too, because I think everybody's surprised at the things that Butcher is doing, but of course the end of the episode surprised me even more, because I thought he was turning over a new leaf, right? I'm thinking like, all right, Butcher, look at him, man. He's going soft. He's gonna figure out the right way to do things, and he found out a right way, but with someone's right leg at the end of the day. So basically, Samir, I don't know when he had time to do this. I'm guessing when everyone left or ran out of the barn, right? Because I was like, when did this happen? I don't remember.
Yeah, right.
I just saw feet falling, and he had time to cut off Samir's leg. I guess stow away Samir in another. Was he in another barn? I think he was in another barn, right?
These are a different location.
Different location.
But like, that's my thing. If Neuman was right next to him when it happened, how did it like
people? Like,
right, that's that didn't make no sense to me. Like, oh, walked off, and I'm like, okay, I'm like, no way these animals just like an animal just crushed them or something. And she's like, oh, what happened? Like, that was weird. I would say that was like, come on, that's your baby daddy. You're all up close on him, and
she must not love him.
I wonder if she believes that he was killed by the animals too.
Maybe. I mean,
because essentially they didn't show them like eating, like. People were like torn apart, but like it was only his leg. So does she believe it? Like,
well, once the sheep came in the barn, like they opened the door. Which, by the way, I'm like, all right, when that happened, how did they open the door? Because I thought, like, you know what I mean?
They were like,
they just walked. Like, no, but the door opened. I was like, oh wait, Homelander, you here? Like, oh shoot, what's about to happen? Right? And it's like, oh, sheep. So who opened the door? It was him. It was Jeffrey D. Morgan.
Oh,
but then why he didn't get eaten?
Joe Kessler, right? Yeah, Joe Kessler opened the door.
That's probably what happened. Yeah, he let the sheep come in. That's probably what happened.
honestly, because they couldn't open the front door, so why were they able to open the side door at this point? That didn't even
And
make
didn't
sense.
he also infer that the team is soft, so maybe he doesn't
did.
mind? He wouldn't mind risking them.
Oh yeah,
Right.
for sure. And I thought it was so crazy because Victoria Neuman didn't even question how clean the cut was.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like she
I
really
was
believed
like,
that.
man, it was like, like you went to the market and it just choop, I'm like, dang, like it looked lasered off is what I thought it was. So I just thought that was wild that she didn't even contest to that, with her being so smart. And we basically get to see after that yeah, so Joe Kessler is in on it. Butcher and him are going to devise a plan with Samir. And he said, I won't hurt you anymore. Well, from what I did to your leg already, if you go ahead and make more of this virus for me. In my head, I kept thinking like maybe they can synthesize the virus from the guy they injected, or maybe some of those dead animals that they used it on. But I might be stretching it.
The only limb they had was the one they gave to Neuman.
Right.
So the only last body part was the leg that was infected. Neuman has that, but then they Butcher and him got the doctor who has the the formula and everything. So
this is gonna be a tough one next episode, I think. But yeah, and then also we get to see what is going to be the end, or not the end, but the next step for Stan Edgar, right? Because as far as we knew, the deal was off. MM basically said, hey, you didn't get us the virus like you were supposed to, so you're going back to jail. Of course, that he felt like, oh, you were not holding up your deal, but you didn't get us what you told us you would give us, for us to solidify this deal as being good. So he gets sent back to jail, and as Edgar is in the car driving, we see his driver's head pop off or explode. And of course, everybody knows how that happened, right? We're like, okay, Victoria's in on it. Did you guys think that she was gonna kill him, like Stan Edgar? What did you think, Nadia?
I don't know. I feel like Victoria is a confusing character. Because she's very I don't know, she'll kill someone, but be like, Hughie, remember when we used to grab lunch?
Right.
I'm like, what?
Huh?
And then so I think the whole thing with Stanley, it's like some weird kind of trauma where she still looks at him as a father figure, and he still protected her, and they're weird, and he keeps saying my daughter. So it's they have this weird connection. But I'm also so aren't they gonna go after Stanley? I think that's one of my little complaints about the show.
Mm-hmm.
I can't say not realistic. But in a sense authority is a little lacking sometimes in the show.
Right. Yeah. What would you say, Mike?
I think the part where you're kind of confusing that there's so many stalemates and alliances being made with multiple different parties to a point where you kind of who's the what's the agenda for each of these people, and it's to a point where there's too many cooks in the kitchen, and they're all up against each other. What's going on here? I can understand that. I just think that now I'm happy that Giancarlo Esposito can come back, and that they're going to continue on with him. Now where she goes, because she still doesn't like Homelander. He doesn't like Homelander. They want to take him out. They want to take him out, but then they also have this Compound V that they took in with the leg. Mm-hmm. But then yet they have her freaking baby daddy with chopped legs. So it's
Mirror.
Right. So I just don't know what gonna happen from with this. And then how is Stan Edgar gonna come back to Vought now when we have Homelander and the Seven? That you all see, I'm really looking forward to Sister Sage and Stan Edgar. That'd be come on. That'd be freaking cool. They bounce off each other and stuff like that. So so I don't know, but I want to see more interactions with those characters. But again, I don't know who's playing the long game here. And because even no matter how much Stan Edgar or Nadia didn't like the relationship with him and everything, that's still his dad or her dad and everything. And and that's why she's let him go. Hey, listen, you trained me to be just like you, and that's why your dog's gonna let you go back there. And it's nope, even though I'm mad at you, I'm like, yeah, come on, get out the car.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, I couldn't see them killing him off, as he jumped back in this very
That
first
easy.
episode. He's just way too important of a character, I think, or of an actor as well. Just to bring him back for one, and then just be done. But insane. So we also get to see a character that seems like they might be done. Also at this point, seems like Frenchie might be toast. Oh, Frenchie toast. I get that. Okay, that was accidental. But yeah, Frenchie's conscience has been weighing heavily on him in the past 2 episodes, especially after the last episode when he confessed to Colin that, I am the one that killed your parents or your whole entire family, man. That, do you think? I mean, I know this is not the end of Frenchie, but what do you think? Do you think we're gonna see more of a life of him in prison, or more a life of him getting out somehow? What do you think, Nadia?
I don't know. I feel like Frenchie wants to die.
Yeah, very much so.
He doesn't seem like himself, and essentially him, being on all the crazy drugs he's been taking. Yeah. I think he's taking something not human. I don't know. With all his hallucinating, I don't know. I just feel like he's on some extra shit. And then turning himself into prison is so odd. Oh, wow. But I don't know if he's trying to go out like a human, and have to actually pay the price, actually not be killed easily and have to sit in prison and torture himself every day and think about what he's done. I don't know.
It's crazy. What do you think, Mike?
What was the question again?
Oh, just about Frenchie. Do you think we're gonna be able to see him kind of be in jail, or do you think they're gonna I don't think they're gonna stop that character, but what do you think is gonna happen next with this character?
No, and with the process with Frenchie, basically his sense of self-loathing, because you can't be, you can get high as much as you want to, but still not take the feeling and pain away. So and then the conversation between him and Starlight, that was pivotal, talking about how sins can be forgiven, and when you've done so much bad or whatever in life, that can be forgiven. But which I think, again, talking about allegory, an allegory of life, whatever, it's just it's a topic of conversation amongst ourselves. We're watching, we're in this cancel culture, we're in point of people dealing with mental health, depression, or lack of forgiveness in this world, also lack of forgiveness on ourselves, accepting people that it can change, different circumstances, and growing, evolving, admitting when we've done something wrong instead of hiding it and living a false reality. There's a lot of things with that. And with him, he thought the only way he can do it is probably just turn himself in, the thing of doing the right thing. Now, I think it was stupid, yes, but I think that, is he gonna get out? Yeah, at the end of next episode, yeah. I don't think he's gonna have a trial. I don't think he's gonna be, and all that stuff. CIA will get him out of it, and stuff like that. But he's just gonna have a moment where he feel like he put himself in purgatory while he goes through that. But I think that's when Kimiko will probably come and break him out of there. But then not understand. And then this is the crazy thing was if I tell what's going on, she probably won't accept me. And the scary part is if I tell her that she will still accept me.
Yeah.
That was the scary part for him. I was like, my wife watched whoa. It's
that's deep.
No, if she's cool with this, I'm even more terrified on that.
Yeah.
That's But she'd be the one to understand, because she did kill a lot of people, and stuff like that. But and then doing the exact same thing, someone coming from her past doing the same thing, but again, that's why I feel like, yes, it's trauma bonding. I get it, but it had to be a sense of hey, I've been in your shoes before, maybe not the same shoe, but definitely the same size, we I've been where you've been. So it's that's where I feel like they can, have that type of relationship again as friendship and positive, friendship and stuff like that, no matter how extreme both of their sins have been.
Right. Yeah. I totally agree. All right, so I got one last question for you guys. Okay, so I've been thinking about this for a little while. I think most of us have read the Boys comics, right? Black Noir is one of the main characters in here that have not. I didn't see anything on him in this episode. Do you guys think, just hypothetically, that we're gonna see the comic book version of Black Noir, who's really
Not
under
at
that
all.
mask. Nope, you don't think so?
No, the show
No.
completely scrapped that idea.
Okay.
Like they want Homelander to be the bad guy. It's Homelander.
Right.
There's no clone. There's no
Right.
none of that. And they revealed that it's the same actor.
The same
Playing-
actor.
Yeah,
Right.
the same
Yeah.
actor is playing Black Noir.
Yeah.
Are they going to give him more of an arc? I would like to see that.
Yeah, he's talking too much not to get a better arc, I feel like.
Well, he
I'm
did his
wondering-
job today.
Yeah,
He did nothing.
yeah. I wonder what they're gonna do. And then I also like remember that he used to see the cartoons.
Yeah,
but they never tapped into like the pedo stuff.
Mhm.
But essentially, I don't know if that was just gonna be the clone thing. So they completely like he's a very flat character. So I don't really know if they're gonna do more with him. But yeah, I don't think we're gonna see any of that at all. I think
Okay.
they scrapped that completely.
Yeah, you feel the same way, Mike?
Yeah, no, which
Okay.
is why I said earlier that because Ryan is built as a character, I think there's gonna be
Right.
something where the way we see that ending is gonna be put in place for Ryan, but not of terms of what Black Noir in the comics did, but the conflict between Black Noir and Homelander in the comic and how it ends. It'd be surprising how they're gonna do it with Ryan. If,
Yeah.
Because that's so, again, that's the
dynamic,
only
yeah.
way I can see. But like as a younger kid, like how that, like how that's why it has to be something different but creative. But what this show has done, proven so far, even when they diverge away from the source material, they also do a really good job, of executing. So that's why I'm not really worried how it's going to end. I'm just like I'm very intrigued how this is going to go, with that, because I think he's going to be putting a placeholder where other characters were doing. He's going to be doing that, or in terms of going against Homelander or something. Yeah.
I agree, man. It's gonna be very interesting to see coming up towards the end of the season, going into the finale of the final season next year, next year it's supposed to come out. Anything else you guys want to touch on from this episode that we might have missed? Go ahead,
Yes.
Nadia. Go ahead.
I feel like a lot of like small moments happened,
Mhm.
but that essentially like tie together. So
Yeah.
Cameron dumped Ashley,
Right.
and
Yes.
further in turn, Ashley's like, "All right, motherfucker," and
Right.
she helps A-Train. This is her moment to like make a move.
Right.
So Tech Knight essentially, wait, sorry, did I mess that up? Tech Knight was on stage. Was Tech Knight on stage?
Yeah, he was on
talking to-
stage. Yep.
Yes,
he was on stage.
Mhm.
So
That's
they were
Tech Knight.
talking, and A-Train's like, Ashley, like, don't turn around, like, but you got to help me with the stage situation, so I don't go down. And then later on, like, I'm like, oh shit, please don't get A-Train, don't get
Oh
A-Train.
yeah, I know.
It's like
know.
it's like you weirdly like hate him, but you weirdly pray
know.
for his like
Right.
redemption.
Right.
But at the same time, I don't think Sage. I don't know. I think Sage is too smart, so I think
Yeah.
she knows something else.
You
Maybe
might
she's
see through
testing.
it, right?
I think she's too damn smart. But Cameron takes the blame for setting everything up on his phone. So Homelander's like, all right, take him out. So of course all his little minions start beating him up.
Yeah. And I think the very first person to actually nail him in the stomach was the Deep, right? Because he had a conversation with the Deep a little bit off stage, and he was saying that he was like, yeah, because that expose you put on me, I'm gonna bang your wife. And Cameron Coleman comes back and says, you know what, I heard about your little sock puppet that you got in your closet, your octopus. And he was shocked. The Deep was like, oh crap, like I didn't know people knew I still had what was her name, Ambrosia? Ambrosia, right? You think Ambrosia might, I don't know, he's not cleaning that tank, man. Ambrosia might die, guys. I don't know. You might see the end of Ambrosia next episode, especially since spending so much time with Sister Stage at this point with Ice Pick. So I think that was a good dynamic to add in there. Nadia, that was a good idea. Yeah, because that was crazy. Was there any, Mike, that we might have missed that you thought?
The only thing with A-Train, and I understand because I'm feeling for him,
Mhm.
but I think it's just a point of a person who's in the system, done a lot of bad things, benefited off of it. And it's like, I don't want to do this anymore. I just see him every
Yeah.
episode. I'm tired of this. And I feel for him where he's in a situation where he can't move. But I do not think that, no, Sister Sage knows exactly what's going on.
Yeah.
Now, what she's going to do with that, again, because not everybody on the same team, because she's like, I throw Firecracker under the bus and stuff, and then Firecracker's like, hey bro, watch your back or whatever, and stuff.
Yeah,
And I'm like, I'm the smartest person. I'm gonna know what you're gonna do before you do. And then, but the fact her realizing that, like, this thing, yes, you're the smartest person in the room. Yes, Homelander's, Homelander's, your right hand girl and everything, but I don't know how this is gonna go, but I'm just playing the stay on code. She's still black, and A-Train knows what's going on, and they were former teammates. Yeah. So like that's where I'm like, hey, I don't know what they're gonna do. Where it's like, what? Hey, I need you, A-Train, do something, even though you're probably not gonna make it out of here alive. I need you to do something and blah blah whatever. I'm just like, that's on me. I hope it's like, oh, please don't go where I think you're gonna go. Just like, because even then, I think she was surprised that they picked the guy to Cameron the one, but if Homelander looked at her. Now I hope he didn't look at her like, oh yeah, we already know this ain't the real dude. It's A-Train, right? But or she just like no, like she thinks like, I know who's the real one, but you don't, like So she even said it. And somebody just run in there and just took the footage and whatever of this, like,
and the word she used, she said fluent or something.
Yeah, somebody. She said something like that, or somebody. She didn't say somebody ran in and said.
Yeah, I forgot the word, but it like inferred, like, I know it's you.
I was like, uh-oh. I said, yeah, bro, you're
swooped in, something like that.
Yeah, I was like, dang, man, she's so smart. I mean, obviously, when we're probably gonna see the character. I mean, how many more episodes honestly are in this season?
Is it 8 or 10? I forget. I think it's 8 episodes, right?
I think it's 8. Yeah, so it's 3 more left, right?
Wow.
Yeah, that was fast.
Wow, they got a lot to do.
Right.
Yeah, there's a lot to cover.
I feel like in terms of what happened, we're on 3.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah. There's so much that's been unpacked already, and I feel like they just got.
I just had one thing.
Go ahead.
One thing that annoyed me. I really love the whole Hughie like dynamic closeout with his father, but what he gave him, it was like what they give to like patients that are dying, like how did he access
how does that work, right?
Gave her that what you call what's the Clint Eastwood the Clint Eastwood and the girl who played the new Karate Kid. I know she's an Oscar winner. Where he went into
from the $1 Million Baby.
$1 Million Baby. Yes, yes. The $1 Million Baby.
Oh my God, not Jennifer.
Okay.
Yes, you know what I'm talking about. But gave him that type of that. Gave him that type of death and everything. Just the ejection and then he out.
Because I was just like, there should be like a crazy lockdown right now. He just like opened a door and was like, "Hey, I got this thing." Like it's.
He probably shouldn't have access to those cabinets. That don't make no sense.
There gotta be a lock in there, or he just broke. But
I mean, that was a little too easy.
Unless one of the bodies the dad cooked up had a key on him, and he was like, "Oh."
I mean, that would have been better to show that. I feel like that's a little.
Yeah, that would have been a little bit more
easy,
information.
Like, I can just grab this thing.
Yeah, we can find stuff to take out patients, in the hospital.
Randomly. All you need is an elbow.
And plus, if that could take down Gen V so easy, why don't they just use that on more superheroes?
Right.
That was kind of like a stickler for me. Like,
yeah. I mean,
I guess willing. Like he was immobile and he was willing to take the injection. Some people's skin is bulletproof. And you can't just say, "Oh yeah, I can't shoot you, but I can stick a needle in you," So that's why their virus transmit through bodily fluids and whatever.
Right.
So so it's I don't need to inject you with it.
It makes sense then, because the dad before he
brain dead.
Before he took the compound V, he actually had the needle in him already, right? So if his skin wasn't impenetrable, it would just form around the needle opposed to pushing the needle out of his body. So you wouldn't have to like repenetrate his skin. It's already penetrated. You just put it in the same.
But I think his power was just phasing. I don't think he had bulletproof. I mean, in that case,
is it like that? Because I think Hughie's power was disappearing, right? But then he also have like super strength too.
He had some kind of like teleportation.
Yeah, like he could like reflect stuff or like like
he's not Homelander now, like to the side.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I was like, invisible people can't just be pushing people. You got super invisible push. All right, that's weird. So yeah, I thought it was a pretty good episode. If you guys had to rank this episode, what would you rank out of 5, Nadia?
Out of 5?
Out of 5.
Like a 3.
Okay. What you, Mike?
Okay, I'll give this maybe a 3.8 or 4, only because the Hughie part and family part that was the best part for me. But then like the stuff with Ryan and Homelander with that, like that scene of like seeing him kind of getting, propping him up and stuff. But yeah, I could have done without the Vought chickens and everything. Again, aside from the action situation, whatever, it just looking forward to the next episode. But again, I'm glad we got Stan Agner back. So yeah, I just give it 3.8. I mean, I think this might be, I don't want to say the weakest of the season to say that this is like a bad episode, but like I'd say that compared to the last week episode, which is my favorite. So yeah,
I'll probably give it a 3.5. I thought it was pretty good because, like you said, we got Stan Edgar back, and then also we got to see more of Joe Kessler, who is played by Jeffrey Dean Morgan, and we got to get to see them kind of form that bond or relationship. Like Nadia said earlier, hopefully we get to see more of a background story going further on between him and Butcher. But yeah, I thought it was a cool episode. Definitely the animals threw me off or threw me for a loop. The sheep, man, like they're still like, I'm probably gonna dream about them tonight at this point. Wake up in cold sweats, vampire sheep. But yeah, I thought it was pretty good though. Everybody at home, make sure you check out The Boys season 4, episode 5. I'm way behind right now. Which is titled Beware of the Jabberwock, My Son, premiering Thursday, June 27th, only on Prime. If you guys like content like this and want to see more content, make sure you check us out at biggoldbeltmedia.com. Like, subscribe, and hit that notification button to be the first ones to know about new content that we drop on a week-to-week basis. And make sure you check out all of our personal pages down in the link below. Until next week, we'll talk to you later. Peace.
I do this.